All right. What else? I beat Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail.
Yeah. Are you okay?
I am okay. I did not look super great the other night.
How did you play 28 hours in 24?
Well,
I don't understand.
not in 24. I had a whole week. Let's go look. You can look at the 8 parts, which were 8, 7.5, 4.5, 2, 4.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5.
Man. Yeah, and look, everyone obviously knows, but like that be happen with or without a microphone in front of
So
you.
one of the things that happened was really funny where I had somebody come into the chat on like day 2 or 3 and was very kind about it. Like it was not malicious, but like the most backhanded compliment I think I've ever received on my channel, which was like, I really appreciate Pat streaming through the FF14 expansion, even though these views are so bad. Because I'm really glad to be here. And like, oh man,
Jesus Christ!
holy shit.
Yeah.
But like, and then I'm like, well, it doesn't even matter because I would literally I'd just be not on camera doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. I guess it's like there's a playlist and you could just have you going in your ear for a full day and night. Why did I see more like Yawn Trail?
Okay, so
What the fuck?
So I'm gonna set you up here. So this is the 7.0 expansion.
Has
so
the bar become too high?
There's 2.0, which is a Realm Reborn, then Heavensward, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, Endwalker. So this is the 5th expansion, right? This is also the start of a new storyline. Like Endwalker
the closing
was a very, very conclusive end to a 10-year storyline.
Right.
And this is, hey, we're starting a new one.
Shit. Okay.
So we have a couple things happening. One, people don't understand that you cannot escalate a story forever. Okay?
What?
You can't.
Nah.
You can't keep, like, especially I'm not going to tell you anything about Endwalker's finale. You actually cannot escalate past what was occurring in Endwalker. But also from like a narrative perspective, from like players, you can't just, the line can't go up forever. You need to center it again so it can go back up. So
Ultra
Dawn
Instinct
Trail,
Goku has some words for you.
Yeah. So Dawn Trail,
Toriyama gives no fucks.
Pulls it back a very considerable amount and gives you a much lower stakes, much chiller narrative setup, right? It's about
setting up the pieces.
You go to a new country and you're helping with like the succession of royalty, essentially, right? You're not saving the planet, for example. And the devs compared it to like a beach episode, like in terms of pacing, like in between arcs, right? So that's part one of what's occurring. The second part is that the expansions reviews on Steam anyway are actually fairly poor. They are mixed. Because part two of toning that down is taking your character as no longer the main character. You are accompanying a different character on their storyline.
Okay.
And you are acting as essentially the heavy in that storyline.
Right.
You're Orin instead of Tidus or Yuna.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, I really dig being that character. It's very satisfying going through a storyline in which, like, how are we going to solve this? And then they essentially just go,
I kind of
And-
assumed and took for granted that that was what you were throughout everything else anyways, because
No, you were absolutely the main character.
okay, because it's like the easiest way to make a game that has infinity players, like anyway, whatever. Like being a supporting cast to another main character is an
Right.
easy way to make an MMO story work, but sure.
So, next step is I'm going to send you a photo. This photo is of a cat person. This character's name is WoolieVersus, and this is the main character that you will be accompanying throughout most of the story. She is a candidate for the new throne that you're dealing with the succession with, right? Yawn Trail leads into more like woke lmao as your goofy meme shit. If you want to continue on that, here's the problem.
What?
Here's the problem. Okay, so Dawn Trail is about going on and helping WoolieVersus with her storyline and so on and so forth, right? The expansion therefore kind of lives and dies based on whether or not you like this character.
Right. Yes.
Earlier in the chat, I saw somebody, even before I started to say up, it's like you are the side character to the worst character in the game. Some people hate this character. Hate them.
I see. A lot is riding on this.
They're kind of
okay.
dumb. Their voice direction, not their voice acting, but their voice direction on some of the lines is not great. I think I saw someone describe it as screaming in lowercase. Like, and that's like an issue across the whole expansion for some reason, that people like they don't yell as loud as they need to. She's basically cat person Luffy, but instead of becoming king of the pirates, she wants to become the Dawn Servant. Very similar in attitude.
Dumb, goofy, earnest, pure.
Yeah, compassionate.
Yeah.
Learning about the world kind of thing.
Slipping on banana peels.
Oh, someone asked a really interesting question. What differentiates voice acting and voice direction? Voice acting quality is whether or not you can hit the lines the way you were told to hit them. Voice direction is the person telling you to hit the lines a certain way. So because most voice actors are reading a script out of context, or in some cases sequentially. So it's up to the voice director to tell them, this is a really dramatic moment, I need you to be yelling. Or this is a really quiet moment, I need you to, what have you. So if you want a really good example of the worst voice direction in the world, you can go look at Trials of Mana, that new Trials game that came out Mana game came out a little while ago, in which no actor is given any direction at all, and all their lines are emotionally random for every scene. Like there's no context given to any of them. Characters are yelling when they're quietly talking. Characters are quietly talking when they should be yelling. It's hilarious.
Direction also tells you that it's pronounced Sakamoto.
Yeah, it does. Right. So my personal opinion, I really like WoolieVersus. I think she's a great character, and I was very happy to play second fiddle to what is obviously her story. With the occasional nod of like, hello, main character from the other games, can you please solve this because you are a blunt instrument in this setting, right? If you hate this character, this game is going to be rough. Okay?
From here on out.
She represents more spoken dialogue than the next 4 speaking roles in the expansion combined.
Wow.
Like this is the WoolieVersus show.
Okay. So without even knowing what the specifics are as to why people would love or hate,
Yeah.
given how fucking big and like delicately woven this tapestry of a game is, I'm surprised that such a bold hit or miss decision would be made, and that it wouldn't be something that like was like majority people think that they nailed it, as opposed to something kind of divisive. Do you know what I
So
mean?
it's
Like,
impossible.
it's
It
so
is impossible to know what the majority is. Like I
like
don't know.
I'm trying to think of an example where it's like, oh, okay, you know how we were talking about like what the interpretation of these classic FF7 characters is going to be like when remade, and
Yeah.
like how they kind of are like, yeah, there's probably going to be some people that really hate this Cloud,
But by and large, they totally nailed it.
but everyone mostly agrees that fucking that's Cloud, absolutely, right? Like that. You'd think they'd go with a choice that would be tested and proven to more or less get the vast majority of people because of how instrumental it is to such a big game and so many people. I'm really surprised to hear this.
I can only speak to my general view of, forums and the Reddit and whatnot, as well as in-game, as well as my friends who play 14. Everybody that I have spoken to, myself, really likes the character, and had fun with the expansion. Or if they had a problem with the character here and there or in this moment or that moment, it passed because they had a good time.
Okay.
The issue with understanding, ask your question.
Okay, it was just the how much is Luffy and how much is Naruto?
Oh, it's
because I feel like there's a difference.
What's the difference between the two, really?
I feel like there is a difference.
It's a lot of both.
Okay.
It's a lot of both.
Okay.
There's a lot of Naruto in there.
The moments that
she does have parents.
Okay. Because the moments of Naruto that like really, really fucking got unbearable were the times when like it's not just, it's like, yes, there's the silly and the earnest and that's all fine. You can be a pure-hearted character drawn in, and it's like, I don't care what society says or what the rules are. I'm going to do my own thing my own way, and that's it, whatever. That's totally fine. It's the moments where like the main character is like 8 years behind everyone and everything that's happening.
No, that's not what's happening. No, that's not what's happening. All right, Wooly, what was the question you had just asked me? It was about the character not knowing anything?
Yeah, so does she lean a little more Luffy or a little more Naruto?
I'd probably say Luffy, but she exists as her own thing to some degree.
Yeah. And I guess and I guess to that end, because there's a lot of like plucky, kind of silly, but ultimately unexpectedly smart protagonists that have their like sort of naive worldview.
So that's the core of it, is that this is a city girl who doesn't know a lot about all the different cultures, which expands into the first half of the expansion is a tour of the new country and learning about these people, solving their bullshit, finding their dark secret, etc.
And that naivete also, like that's a trait that applies to a million like anime protagonists. You're Gon, Deku, Ippo, Senna, like all these characters are just like, I'm gonna take the world
Gon's
at face
gotta
value.
Find out what's so good about cigarettes.
Sure.
You're not familiar with that one?
I guess not. But
the description of Gon is like a young boy whose dad left to go get cigarettes, and his journey to find out what makes cigarettes so appealing.
Okay.
Like, he's not going to find his dad. He's like, man, dad said cigarettes are great. I wonder how good they taste.
But yeah, and these characters all just kind of like take the world at face value and are very easily trusting and often have to learn. But there's always that moment when back against the wall, you're like, oh, they're dumb, and it's like, no, they're not dumb. They came up with a really clever thing that
It's like, no, they might be dumb though. Like Luffy's like not dumb, but he's actually really dumb.
And so I I have many memories of just rolling my eyes hard at Naruto, as plot is happening around him, and whether like Orochimaru's sitting there talking about like why he's taking over Sasuke's body, or what Sasuke being like, I gotta go, and Naruto being there like, what's going on?
Yeah,
but why? He's like, we just told you.
So
Yeah,
in
right.
general, it seems that, in my opinion, from actually speaking to other humans, that the general response is very positive about most of the expansion, including Woolieversus. But the people who don't like this character are miserable
Okay.
and loud, and in many cases, really, 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 really disingenuous.
Okay.
And intellectually dishonest. So one of the things, I don't know if you saw, Mom posted on Twitter where Mom was putting up like, this expansion's so shit, takes 4 hours to get to the first dungeon, I'm so bored. And then she just posted screenshots of every playthrough of every expansion where it takes exactly 4.5 hours to get to the first dungeon on every single expansion. It's funny because people are complaining a lot about like, oh, the structure's so bad. It's the same structure. It's like identical. It's almost a problem how much the structure does not change between expansions, just the content. It's like, you do this, you meet these people, you solve their problem, you do this, you go to the second part of the zone, you get the Aether Currents, you do the dungeon. And then you do that 6 times. And then there's the secret 6 of the zone, etc.
Could it possibly be? Yeah, go on.
So you're like, well, I really like this character, and the expansion is pretty fantastic overall, particularly the more difficult content. Or so the normal content's been a lot more interesting, a lot more difficult. And I think that their voice acting totally fits in with just about everybody else, and that I'm having a really great time. And I keep seeing people who are mad about the expansion or the character, and a lot of that seems disingenuous or just like way angrier than you would expect, considering. And I'm like, I don't know why this is happening, other than WoolieVersus's voice actor is trans.
Hence the woke lmao.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the reason I say this is twofold. One is the just straight up like direct reasoning, which is this because of this. And the second one is that the day the voice actor's name came out in the last expansion, when the character was there for 15 minutes, I fucking hate this character.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Now so listen.
I so think, predictable. Oh, that's great. Wow.
I think that it would be just as disingenuous, and I think it would be unhelpful to everyone for me to go or even imply that anyone who does not like WoolieVersus the character does so because of their voice actor or woke lmao or whatever the fuck, right? I think that's of no use to anyone. We just had a person in the chat just now go, I play the game in Japanese exclusively, and I also don't like this character, right? Because it is a very specific type of character, and I can see some people's personalities like really grating with them following essentially dumb Chewbacca around, right? However, there is a weirdly intense, non-specific vitriol that I feel should probably be mentioned, and there's probably a cause there.
Vague, just I can't just quite.
This expansion's so bad because of this, but it was like that last time. Yeah, but it's just worse now. It's like, is it?
Oh, that's. Yeah. Okay. There we go. There's the full picture. Took a second.
Right.
Took a second.
Right. It's.
Man. Yeah. You ever hear the like the person that is being made aware of the fact that the Dylan Mulvaney can was only a one-off and not actually sold in stores? You ever hear that person hearing for the first time that it wasn't a thing that was sold in stores, it was just one thing? And
it was like a promotional goof
for one person, and just the logic crunch noises followed by searching for But still, though,
I will say
it's
that people
wild to
saying
watch it
stupid
happen.
shit like you used to be able to enjoy FF14, but you can't anymore because of Wook is really funny, and all those variations are hilarious. But like it seems out of pace with the reality, especially since the gist of the expansion is that this is one of the better ones. I'd put it in like the top 3. It's excellent.
Okay. Okay.
And they do something really smart where it feels like there are 2 expansions. So the usual deal that they do here is that they have 6 zones. They always have 6. And the 6th one is always hidden from promotion. It's they show off a lot for an MMO lead up, but the 6th zone is always the secret zone that has something big in it, right? What they did this time is the first 3 are actually split into half. So the first 3 zones all have 2 biomes and all have 2 arcs.
Okay.
So it feels like by the time you get to the halfway point that you have played through a full expansion. And then you are playing as the expansion's own sequel by doing the next 3.
Okay.
And hold on, I need to stop for a second. We have someone in the chat. I'm tired of people telling me that I am transphobic because I hate the character and I don't like English voice acting. Maybe learn how to take criticisms and stop moving your goalpost and doing extreme mental gymnastics to call people transphobic. Why don't you open your ears, you dumb asshole, and listen to the thing I just said,
bro, Pat,
2 minutes ago?
Pat, goalpoasts.
So frustrating.
Bro, dual wielding goalposts are the best
Oh my
weapons
God,
ever. What are we talking about?
I made such a
the charged double goalpost attack as you carry them is the best.
It's like, you know what my favorite
and then you
part about
spin
that,
and you do a giant AoE
is that when somebody goes, I say, hey, I don't think it's useful to call people this and that depending on this. This is not necessarily the reason that you would dislike it. And someone just barges in and not listening. He goes, I hate it when people call me that because I hate it. I hate it for my own reasons. And it's like, well, now I don't believe you because you're coming off like a stupid asshole. And it's like a fairly neutral situation.
And then you
so
power
like your
stance.
Persecution makes me think that you're a liar.
Launch. Giant double slash attack. Juggle, 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 juggle. Double overhead slam.
Like you're saying the same thing I said in an angry voice, like someone attacked you, which can only lead me to believe that you feel attacked because you feel guilty because you're an asshole. Anyway. God, that threw me real. Oh my God. That's like my most hated type of stupid person.
I mean, really, it's just, hey man, get off Twitter for a minute, see if your life improves. I hope it all works out for you.
I'm sure, like I think the best part is like get off Twitter and see if your life improves. But when you said that, I'm like, but our lives will improve when you shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's anyway. I believe in power stancing goalposts, quite frankly. I think that shit's rad. Let's go.
But yeah, no, good expansion. Only complaint I would have is it would do to have more unique scenarios, like gameplay scenarios in between story bits.
These Guilty Gear Strive tournaments are just unbearable these days.
Oh.
It was so much more fun to watch before, but now, ugh.
Oh. There's also a secondary fun type of complaint with the expansion, which is extra funny. So FF14's primary story path, it's been like a
side note though, We got to get some. We got to get some more merch for the rest of the characters out there, though, because there are, as it stands, currently like I think 12 or 13 Bridget figures.
Oh yeah.
Biken gets like 2, and some of the other girls get 1 or 2, and none of the guys have anything except 1 for Sol.
Yeah, and that's because Ice Guy was like, "You're making one. I want one."
The merch is fucking out of control. All right.
So there is one bonus set of follow-up complaints, which are just like delicious tears, and just I'm so happy about it. So FF14's base level difficulty of its normal story content has oscillated between pretty easy and way too easy.
Okay.
All the hard stuff has been set off to the side with story with bonus content, like extreme raids, or what stuff you don't have to actually do, right? With one exception being Stormblood's normal final boss was actually pretty tough, and there's one solo duty in Endwalker that was pretty tough, and this was responded to by many members of the community of, why are you gatekeeping the rest of the game from me? Why did you make it? It's too hard. Didn't
we just have this conversation?
We did. And the difference being that we're talking about people who play a game like the Stormblood final boss. You had to have played the game for like minimum 400 hours to get there. And the idea that you cannot actually do this because it's like a normal difficulty after years of, it's ridiculous, right? So Dawn Trail came out, and one of the things that Yoshi P talked about was that he feels like he has made the incline a little too smooth and would like to add more like complexity and friction to the game. And as a result, the normal content that you do as part of the main story is of like, there's some like juice to it. Like it can be tough.
Okay. I thought it was always like the main stuff, your friends could carry you through it, and then the stuff that gets you the bigger rewards.
Oh, they can. I'm talking about people with no friends.
Okay.
I'm talking about people with no friends.
Okay.
And specifically the post game like roulettes, like you do an EX dungeon every day or so. Like they're not, you can't sleep through them. Like they're not hard, but like you have to actually pay attention. And endless complaining, endless like me and my friends are thrilled. Like the EX roulettes are a blast. They're much more interesting because they're much more active. They're not harder per se, but they're a lot more active. They require a lot more thinking, right? And in at least one case, people are finding out like, why'd they have to make it so difficult? This isn't fun. Only to go back on the official forums or on Reddit and find the same users going like, God forbid they make this game have any fucking challenge. This shit is too easy for babies. The same people.
Okay.
And it's like, we found another case of I just want it to be just hard enough that I can beat it and lord it over others. I don't actually want it to be difficult. I just want it to be difficult for you. And now that I have to actually try, it's too hard. And it looks like they're not going to change it. So hooray. The other thing that it does is that by making the main story actually a little challenging is that people that don't have any friends and suck shit are going to have trouble reaching the end, which is awesome. Because people who play an MMO for multiple years and have somehow made no friends and are also bad at the game should stop. They should stop playing it because interacting with them is miserable.
But you don't pay my sub.
Yes, that's right. That's right, Woolie. That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Congrats.
All right.
You have closed the circle.
Okay. Did it.
But yeah, no, if you manage to play a fucking MMO for multiple years and you do not have even one person you can ask to come in to play a dungeon with you, even casually, this means that you are either so bad no one wants to play with you, or that you are so miserable to exist next to in a digital space that no one wants to deal with you.
Well, sure. I mean, there are people that are just doing duty finding the whole way through and doing public stuff, right? Like,
yes. And it would be strange for them to not have a single positive interaction for that entire period. It is strange to play an MMO for multiple years and never interact with one person. Ever. That's weird.
or like just add to the, or involve yourself in the social element at the very least.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like they've made it so that you can clear through 99.9% of the game's mandatory story content with robots, bots, or an occasional duty finder here or there. Right. And so you could get all the way to the end of the story content, right? All the external story content is social content. It's raids with people. It's, alliance raids with people. It's treasure maps with people, right? None of these have been automated because they are at their core social activities. And it's like, if you are like, I want to do these social things by myself, and if you felt that way the whole way through, it's like these people tend to be like annoying to deal with. They tend to be very demanding, rude,
antisocial,
bad at the game.
But the game does allow you to make it through.
Yeah, to get to the end of the built storyline content.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And if that's all you want, then it's super easy to just do that and ignore people entirely. But if you want to play the MMO part with MMO people, you have to play the MMO part with MMO people.
What happens generally to like the most toxic people that just continue on?
So it depends. You blacklist them. So duty finding is, so it pulls into, like, when you have like a server rack is what you're pulling your duty finding from.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody on Primal, which is like 10 servers, right? So it's not going to be like you'll never be able to queue up for anything, because
that's what I was wondering.
It's pulling for so many people.
Okay.
Right? But it might become you have to move servers because no one wants to do a party with you on hard content.
Because you've been blacklisted.
Because
on so many
party, there's only a percentage of any particular server that goes into Party Finder to do hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just like a consistent asshole all the time, eventually people will see your name and go, no, I'm leaving this party, I'm out.
I mean, well, like if you're min-maxing and doing it efficiently, then like 39 other people per raid are blocking you, right?
Oh no, not 39. 7.
Okay. Gotcha.
No, World of Warcraft does the 40s.
I see.
But like there's you have to be really insanely famously toxic to actually get frozen out of the social aspect in general, because there are just so many people playing the game. When if you were talking about like FF11 where you're stuck on your server forever and it's 2,000 people, yeah, you could fuck that server up. You could like ruin it to the point where you had to leave, because everyone would eventually know your name and be like, oh, that guy's an asshole, right? But when you're queuing up for something, you're queuing up into a population of like 8 million people.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm like the dynamics of like being an insufferable fucking YouTube, whatever, see you next Tuesday, while playing a game that relies on other people's like relationships and such for content. It's fascinating because, again, we talk about in fighting games, when you fucking ban somebody enough and they rage quit enough that they eventually, you can add enough people to a block list that they get less matches, the quality of their experience goes down in such a way that they end up fighting other people that are in similar shitty disconnection ratios and so on, you know?
I can only think of like one person who ever had what you're describing happen to him. And that was a content creator named Mr. Happy, who I believe has been publicly removed from like 2 raid groups, like world first raid groups.
Okay.
And also has the distinction of ruining one of the game's encounters.
Huh.
Which is wild. So here's the deal. Mr. Happy puts out guides for encounters. He put out a guide that was wrong and described a way to beat the fight that was completely dead ass wrong and would result in failure most of the time. But because he had a big YouTube channel and made a lot of guides, it became the de facto way to do that encounter, which ruined it. It's the encounter was Tsukiyomi.
Okay.
So his video like ruined Tsukiyomi for Party Finder players.
Okay.
Because people would go in and it's like, we're doing this strat, and you'd be like, that strat doesn't work. It will die.
Yeah, okay. Being a large streamer magnifies this issue somewhat in a different way. I wasn't even thinking that. Huh. Okay.
Oh man. Like I didn't. Luckily, I have my friends and we play together, but like Tsukiyomi was apparently just miserable as a result of that. Hey, if you want guides for EX trials, go to MTQ Capture. Ms. Tech's guides are much better, and she seems really nice.
Okay. Any other?
Yeah, Dawn Trail's good.
Yep.
It's really good. Also, the graphics upgrade is fantastic. It makes the game look like you load in and you look at the graphics update and you're like, it looks the same, and then you go and look back at what it looked like just a couple weeks ago and you're like, oh no, it doesn't. My memories are unreliable. It looks like what the game looks like in my fucking head.
Okay.
Though they didn't fix, the people who play FF14 would know this, you would not, Wooly, but they did not fix the Crystal Exarch's arm during that cutscene. It's for some reason that specific model that they zoom in on all the time is not fixed, and that's hilarious.